Listín Diario editorial for January 13th of 2022. Inflation, the new pandemic. When the world's economies seem to enter a stage of gradual recovery after the onslaught of the COVID pandemic, a new inflationary wind has spread like the coronavirus across the planet. One of the strongest economies, the United States, is now at its highest level in 4 decades, at 7%. The impact of his sneeze, as they say in parable, will take it to a financial flu for Latin America. Among the main triggers in the sustained rise in the value of a barrel of oil, bottlenecks in container shipments, and the consequent increases in freight and merchandise prices, plus the increase in prices and shortage of food products. Added to all this are the enormous costs that countries have incurred to combat the pandemic. Purchases of vaccines and medical supplies, social subsidies, compensation for companies and workers, and other sacrifices aimed at stabilizing their economies during the storm. The Dominican Republic does not escape the inflationary maelstrom. For this reason, it has been forced to resort to multiple monetary policy measures and extraordinary incentive to minimize imported inflation. It did so, for example, by assuming the sacrifice of subsiding partially or totally the price of fuel. President Luis Abinader, whose government did not prohibit either the pandemic or the substitute inflation, had to assume the amount of $15.36 billion in those subsidies last year. Now, he's faced with the dilemma of facing a future without fuel subsidies, with the aggravating circumstance that oil has soared to around $85 a barrel, too heavy a burden with an inevitable political and social effects. Society must understand that this phenomenon, like the pandemic, defies any barrier, and that the government in the current circumstances does not have a magic wand to avoid it. If the COVID made us look for emergency shortcuts to resist it, this pandemic wind of inflation could spoil many tangible benefits of the recovery that we achieved in 2021, the year in which the economy, driven by tourism and free zones, enter a growth path recognized and praised by regional and global bodies. For Listín Diario, voice over and translations by Indira Rodriguez.